Hey y'all, I'm here to share with you my July TBR. The first role that I got for this month was to read a story told from multiple perspectives. So the book that I've chosen for that is The House of Eve, written by Sadika Johnson. It's a historical fiction, and here's the synopsis. 1950s Philadelphia. 15-year-old Ruby Pearsall is on track to become the first in her family to attend college, in spite of having a mother more interested in keeping a man than raising a daughter. But a taboo love affair threatens to pull her back down into the poverty and desperation that has been passed on to her like a birthright. Eleanor Quarles arrives in Washington, D.C. with some ambition and secrets. When she meets the handsome William Pride at Howard University, they fall madly in love. But William hails from one of D.C.'s elite, wealthy black families, and his parents don't let just anyone into their fold. Eleanor hopes that a baby will make her finally feel at home in William's family and grant her the life that she's been searching for. But having a baby and fitting in is easier said than done. With their stories colliding in the most unexpected of ways, Ruby and Eleanor will make decisions that shape the trajectory of their lives. The book that I have chosen to go with the award-winning prompt is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. This book is the National Book Critic Circle's Award for Fiction from 2021. This is another historical fiction that I'll be reading this month, and here is the synopsis. England, 1580. The Black Death creeps across the land, an ever-present threat, infecting the healthy, the sick, the old, and the young alike. The end of days is near, but life always goes on. A young Latin tutor, penniless and bullied by a violent father, falls in love with an extraordinary, eccentric young woman. Agnes is a wild creature who walks her family's land with a falcon on her glove and is known throughout the countryside for her unusual gifts as a healer, understanding plants and potions better than she does people. Once she settles with her husband on Henley Street in Stratford-upon-Avon, she becomes a fiercely protective mother and a steadfast centrifugal force in the life of her young husband, whose career on the London stage is just taking off when his beloved son succumbs to a sudden fever. A luminous portrait of marriage, a shattering evocation of family ravaged by grief and loss, and a tender and unforgettable reimagining of a boy whose life has been all but forgotten and whose name was given to one of the most celebrated plays of all time. Hamnet and Hamlet are often interchangeable. As someone who's been going to see several of the Kentucky Shakespeare Festival's plays over the course of my life, I'm really interested to read this book, and I can't wait to see what it has in store. For the published during my birth month prompt is The Bone Orchard by Sarah Mueller. This book really intrigues me. Here's the synopsis. Tucked away behind the notorious house of ill repute, there's a garden where the trees are grown from bones and nourished by the darkest of secrets. The clattering, ghostly harvest is tended to by the women who live and work at Orchard House. Charm, the madam, and her haunting and beautiful charges: shame, justice, desire, pride, and pain. Except on Tuesdays, when the emperor alone calls at Orchard House to see his personal concubine. Until the day he summons Charm instead to the palace to charge her with his dying decree. Choose which of his horrible sons will inherit the empire by discovering which one has been responsible for his murder. If she completes this final task, she will be freed from a life of bondage and servitude. Torn between the dead emperor's will and the whispers of her own ghost, Charm must choose. Justice for an empire she hates, or vengeance, at the cost of her own freedom. Will she save an empire or save herself? instead. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson is the book that I have chosen to go along with the under 200 pages prompt. This book comes in at 143 pages. The synopsis says that this book takes readers into a labyrinth of dark neuroses. This is an unsettling novel about a perverse, isolated, and possibly murderous family and the struggle that ensues when a cousin arrives at their estate. Doesn't really give me a whole lot of information, so I'm very curious as to what this book contains. So July is going to be pretty heavy on the historical fiction. I have chosen a book that has flowers on the front cover. It is Snowflower and the Secret Fan by Lisa C. This is a historical fiction as well. Here's the synopsis. In 19th century China, in a remote Hunan county, a girl named Lily, at the tender age of 7, is paired with a Lao Tong, an old saint, in an emotional match that will last a lifetime. The Lao Tong, Snowflower, introduces herself by sending Lily a silk fan on which she's written a poem in Nu Cebu, a unique language that Chinese women created in order to communicate in secret, away from the influence of men. As the years pass, Lily and Snowflower send messages on the fan and compose stories on handkerchiefs, reaching out of isolation to share their hopes, dreams, and accomplishments. Together they endure the agony of foot binding and reflect upon their arranged marriages, their loneliness, and the joys and tragedies of motherhood. The two find solace in their friendship, developing a bond that keeps their spirits alive. But when a misunderstanding arises, their relationship threatens to tear apart. Can't wait to see what this book holds. So here's proof that I'm technologically challenged. The photo that I inserted for this prompt was actually saved vertically in my pictures, but it insists somehow on loading horizontally in my video. So anyway, the prompt says to pick a book with an illustrated cover, and the book that I have chosen is Wicked by Gregory Maguire. Really interested to read this book because I love the musicals so much. Here's the synopsis. When Dorothy triumphed over the Wicked Witch of the West in L. Frank Baum's classic tale, we heard only her side of the story. But what about her arch nemesis, the mysterious witch? Where did she come from? How did she become so wicked? And what is the true nature of evil? Gregory Maguire creates a fantasy world so rich and vivid that we will never look at Oz the same way again. Wicked is about a land where animals talk and strive to be treated like first-class citizens. Munchkinlanders seek the comfort of middle-class stability, and the Tin Man becomes a victim of domestic violence. And then there is the little green-skinned girl named Elphaba, who will grow up to become the infamous Wicked Witch of the West, a smart, prickly, and misunderstood creature who challenges all of our preconceived notions about the nature of good and evil. And my last prompt says to choose a book that begins with the first letter of my name. What I have chosen is Closer Than You Know by Brad Parks. This is a long time on my TBR book, so I'm excited to finally get around to reading it. It is a domestic thriller, and here's what the synopsis says. It was a lesson she learned the hard way growing up in the constant upheaval of foster care. But now that she survived into adulthood with a loving husband, a steady job, and a beautiful baby boy named Alex, she thought that turmoil was behind her. Until one Tuesday evening, when she goes to pick up Alex from childcare, only to discover that he's been removed by social services, and no one will say why. It's a terrifying scenario for any parent, but doubly so for Melanie, who knows the unintended horrors of what everyone coldly calls the system. Her nightmare mushrooms when she arrives home to learn her house has been raided by sheriff's deputies, who have found enough cocaine to send Melanie to prison for years. The evidence against her is overwhelming, and if Melanie can't prove her innocence, she'll lose Alex forever. Meanwhile, Deputy Commonwealth Attorney Amy Kay, who has been assigned to Melody's case, has her own troubles. She's been dogged by a cold case that no one wants her to pursue, a serial rapist who has avoided detection by wearing a mask and whispering his commands. Over the years, he has victimized dozens of women, including Melanie. Yet now her attacker might be the key to her salvation, or her undoing. I can't wait to get back with you all and let you know what I think about the books that I have selected. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel and like this video. It will really help my channel grow. Thanks.